Welcome to another special ranking video, and I hope that all of you have gotten over the whole slap thing. I know that Chris Rock has, and I agree it was extremely inappropriate, but it's something that we need to move on from. But since today is September 25th, which means it's Will Smith's birthday, and Will Smith is actually my second favorite actor of all time, what I chose to do is take 25 different Will Smith movies, and I'm going to rank them from my least favorite to my favorite. Obviously, we're going to have different rankings of these movies, and it's not based on his performance. Otherwise, it would be a completely different list or ranking. It's based on the films of these that I would rather rewatch and the ones that I would not want to rewatch, which some of these I don't want to rewatch. Now, in preparation for this video, I did watch or rewatch all of these films, or I tried to watch them as much as I could. There were a few of them that I was taking naps frequently during the film. So with all that said, make sure that you leave your ranking in the comment section, or at least the ranking of the films of these that you've seen. Like and subscribe to the channel, share the video with a friend, put this video on any one of your social media platforms. If there's a person in Hollywood that you want me to do a ranking for, I got a couple of ideas. Basically, I have to have a lot of their films in order to do something like this. Maybe not 25, but something like top 15 or 20. Otherwise, I don't want to do it if it's just a top 5 or top 10. It's, in my opinion, I would rather do a long ranking than a short one. And of course, last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. Subscribe to the channel. You're watching the video anyway. Join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDev TV. Now, as far as for spoilers, I'm not going to get into spoilers except for one of these films, and I will warn all of you when I start talking about that particular film. So let's start the ranking off. 25 Will Smith movies ranked from my least favorite to my favorite. And coming in 25th place, a movie that was a first-time watch for me, is Wild Wild West. I gave this one a 0.5 out of 5. Now, this was a movie that I was frequently napping during, and I really didn't go out of my way to go back to see what I missed. So, in the movie's defense, maybe I would like it a little bit more if I could actually stay awake and watch the whole thing. But the premise of it is two best special agents in the Wild Wild West must save President Grant from the clutches of a diabolical, wheelchair-bound, steampunk-savvy Confederate scientist bent on revenge for losing the Civil War. Of course, it has Will Smith, Kevin Kline, and Selma Hayek in it, and I just didn't get into it that much, unfortunately. So at the moment, Wild Wild West, first-time watch, is in 25th place, and I don't foresee myself ever rewatching this movie. Coming in 24th place, a movie that I had seen one time before, and actually didn't think it was that bad. I'm not sure why I thought that, but it would be After Earth, a movie directed by M. Night Shyamalan. I gave the movie a 1 out of 5, and I wanted to put this in last place, but I feel like it was a better looking movie. But the premise is a crash landing leads Will Smith's character and his Will Smith's character and his son stranded on Earth. A millennium after events force humanity's escape. And Will Smith's hurt, so his son has to go on a journey to save the day and get a signal. It stars Will Smith and Will Smith's son, Jaden Smith. The acting by Jaden Smith in this movie was absolutely horrible, but I liked some of the effects in the movie. Will Smith doesn't have quite the big role in the movie, but it's a very grounded movie. It doesn't have a lot of people in it, so Will Smith is the co-lead. Some would call him the lead, but it's Jaden Smith's movie. A weird movie directed by Shyamalan. Again, 1 out of 5. I don't know why I liked it a little bit more last time, but I did not like this movie, and that's why it's in 24th place. In 23rd place, some would disagree with this choice, but I'm going to go with Men in Black 2, which I gave this a 2.5 out of 5. Agent J is sent to find Agent K and restore his memory after the reappearance of a case from K's past. You've got Will Smith, you've got Tommy Lee Jones, you've got Johnny Knoxville in this movie. Rip Torn is in the movie again. I didn't like it. It's too silly, it's too goofy. Where the first Men in Black, it had the same characteristics, but I felt it was a little bit different. But I was bored watching this. I'd seen it before many times, and I was not impressed with Men in Black 2, so that's why it's in 23rd place. In 22nd place, I went with Hancock, a movie with Will Smith, Charlize Theron, Jason Bateman. 2.5 out of 5. Hancock is a superhero whose ill-considered behavior regularly causes damage in the millions. He changes when the person he saves helps him improve his public persona. It's a good movie. I've seen it a couple times before. I just think there's some things that they did in the movie that they shouldn't have done, and they should have went in different directions. On a different day, this movie might even be higher. I was dozing off during this movie, but I would go back to the last thing I remembered. But it's okay. I don't really hate all these movies after Men in Black 2. The rest of them, for the most part, are decent enough movies. But Hancock is in 22nd place. Here's one that a lot of you would disagree with as well. A lot of people like this movie a lot, and I just don't enjoy it as much. In 21st place, I went with Bad Boys 2. Now, I still give it a 3 out of 5, so these are all decent movies from here on out. But two loose cannon narcotics cops investigate the flow of ecstasy into Florida from a Cuban drug cartel. You've, of course, got Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, the same cast of characters. You add Gabrielle Union in this one instead of Téa Leoni. I just think the movie's way too long. There's too much going on in this movie, and that really takes it down on my ranking. I know others really like it. I've never been impressed with Bad Boys 2, so that's why that currently is my number 21. Coming in 20th place, a film that I'd never seen before, and about halfway into the film, I was very worried that it would be in last place, but it did get better as it went on. But number 20 is Legend of Bagger Vance. A 3 out of 5. You've got Will Smith. Matt Damon is the lead in this movie. You've got Charlize Theron again, and it's about golf. But the first hour of the movie is really slow. But the premise is a down-and-out golfer attempts to recover his game and his life with the help from a mystical caddy, which is played by Will Smith. And it just is way too boring to start. But it did get better. It's a good story, but I don't know if I'd ever want to watch Legend of Bagger Vance again. It was a first-time watch for me. In 19th place, a film that I'd seen one time previously and didn't really remember much about it. It's actually a film that I do not own, but I did watch it on Netflix, and that would be Bright. It's Will Smith. Joel Edgerton plays this other character. A detective must work with an orc to find a powerful wand before evil creatures do. On a different day, I could rank Bright a little bit lower on the list, but I gave it 3 out of 5 because I was entertained. I didn't nod off during the movie, which is a plus. Like, I watched the whole movie. I'm not super impressed with it, but it has elements of the film that I like, so that's why I put Bright in 19th place. In 18th place, I decided to go with Gemini Man, a film that I'd already seen previously just one time, but didn't really remember much about it. I gave it a 3 out of 5, and the premise is an over-the-hill hitman faces off against a younger clone of himself. It's okay. Will Smith is great in it, but it doesn't really do a lot, but it's okay, and that's why I put Gemini Man at number 18. I could go more into details about the film, but I'd rather talk about other films of Will Smith that I really, really like. That way the video isn't 6 hours long. In 17th place, I went with Suicide Squad. Now, this is an ensemble cast. A lot of cast of characters in this movie. I gave Suicide Squad a 3 out of 5. You've got Will Smith. You've got Margot Robbie. You've got a host of other people like Viola Davis, Jai Courtney in the film. The premise is a secret government agency recruits some of the most dangerous incarcerated supervillains to form a defensive task force. Their first mission, save the world from the apocalypse. And I like the movie a lot. Obviously, Margot Robbie is a big reason why I like it a lot more. But Will Smith's character was a good character in the film, and that's why I put it at number 17. So everything that you just saw was recorded yesterday, and everything that you're going to see after this was recorded yesterday. But since I got it via FedEx today, even though technically it doesn't come out until tomorrow, coming in 16th place for me is going to be Bad Boys Ride or Die, a.k.a. Bad Boys 4. When their late police captain, Captain Howard, gets linked to drug cartels, Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett embark on a dangerous mission to clear Captain Howard's name. This is an okay movie in the Bad Boys franchise. It has some really silly moments where I kind of shake my head, but it also has some really good moments. And it also has the Reggie moment, which is like the show stealer of the movie. It's still a good entry in the Bad Boys franchise, but it is a little bit cheesy, but I still enjoyed it. Now, upon further rewatches of this movie, I might lower it down my Bad Boys ranking. We shall see. It just depends on how the cheesy parts live up and, how well they age in my mind. So, Bad Boys, Ride or Die, coming in 16th place. In 15th place, another film of Will Smith's that I just saw for the first time, and that would be Ali. I gave it 3.5 out of 5. It's a biography of sports legend Muhammad Ali, focusing on his triumphs and controversies between 1964 and 1974. I mean, I don't know how accurate the movie is. I think it's pretty accurate, but I kind of already knew everything that happened for the most part, so it was nothing special in my opinion. And I don't know. It's hard to rate movies like this because it's a true story, and that's why I went with 3 out of 5. I was interested in the film, so that's why I put Ali at number 15. Jamie Foxx gives a great performance. Jon Voight gives a good performance as well. Number 14, which I think a lot of you will probably put in your top 10. Maybe not, though. I don't know. I just don't think it's anything special. I went with iRobot. Seen it many times. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. In 2035, a technology or a telerobotic cop investigates a crime that may have been perpetrated by a robot, which leads to a larger threat to humanity. Will Smith is really good in this. You've got Bruce Greenwood in it. You've got one of the Monaghan sisters. Is it Bridget Monaghan? And it's James Cromwell's in it. It's good. It's got some good moments. I saw it in the theater when it came out. I've seen it probably 4 other times at least, and I like it. I should probably get this on Blu-ray because it looks good too. Shia LaBeouf is in it too for very brief moments here and there. That's why iRobot is my number 14. In 13th place, this is one that I will talk about spoilers to a degree. I watched the alternate edition of the movie for the first time, where typically I watch the theatrical version. The reason why I watched the alternate version of the film is because that's going to be canon when the sequel comes out. So spoiler alert, there's going to be a sequel, hopefully, at some point that's going to be made. And my number 13 is going to be I Am Legend. You can watch the alternate version on the Blu-ray, which this 4K comes with the Blu-ray. So I should have just bought it on Blu-ray because the 4K, there's no point to watch anymore because that edition isn't on the 4K yet. But I Am Legend's a divisive movie. People will put it higher on the list, and I like it a lot. There's just problems I have with it. But the premise is years after a plague that kills most of humanity and transforms the rest of the people into monsters, the sole survivor in New York City struggles to find a cure. Will Smith plays a character called Robert Neville in this film. The co-lead, in my opinion, in this movie is a dog, a German Shepherd. And one of the reasons that I don't put this film higher on the ranking, spoiler alert, you kill the co-star, the dog. And that's just not something I want to deal with in any movie, but especially this one, because you really, really like Sam, the dog in this film. But the difference between the alternate version and the theatrical version is in the alternate version, Will Smith's character, Robert Neville, does die to try to save humanity and let this person that shows up live on and pass on a cure. Where in the alternate version of the movie, he does live, and then they find a place where people are like sanctuary, where people are okay. So it's good. I'm interested to see where the sequel will go, but they are saying that the alternate version of the film is now canon, assuming that they actually go ahead with I Am Legend 2. So that's why it's in 13th place. Long-winded answer there. In 12th place, a movie that I'd only seen one time before, and I didn't remember anything about it. That would be Collateral Beauty. I gave Collateral Beauty a 3.75 out of 5. This was another one that I struggled to stay awake for the first 45 minutes. And the last 5 minutes of the movie, I kept falling asleep for a minute here, a minute here, a minute here. And I kept having to go back. But it's a good movie. I gave it, like I said, 3.5 or 3.75 out of 5. The premise is retreating from life after a tragedy. A man questions the universe by writing letters to love, time, and death. Receiving unexpected answers, he begins to see how things interlock and how even loss can reveal moments of meaning and beauty. You've got Will Smith in this. You've got Edward Norton. Michael Pena is in this. What's the chick from Pirates of the Caribbean? I can't remember her name. Keira Knightley. And then, of course, you've got also Naomi Harris and Kate Winslet. You've also got Ellen Mirren in the movie. But it's a good movie. I don't want to say too much more about it because it might spoil some things that happen. But it's a good performance by Will Smith. Although I wish we would have seen more of Will Smith's acting in this movie, where it's very limited at the beginning of the movie and the middle of the movie. In 11th place, I'm going with Men in Black Part 3, which is probably higher than most, but I really enjoyed this one. Let me push it back in the slipcover's falling out. I gave it 3.75 out of 5. The premise is Agent J, Will Smith's character, travels in time to MIB's early days from 1969 to stop an alien from assassinating his friend, Agent K, played by Tommy Lee Jones, but in this one it's actually played by Josh Brolin, but you still get some Tommy Lee Jones and changing history. I just really enjoyed watching Men in Black 3, and I'd only seen it one time before, so it was my second time watching the movies. My left arm's getting tired of holding movies up. It's pretty good. I think it's way better than the second one. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion, but I liked it. I like Alice Eve, who has kind of a minor role in the movie, but Alice Eve is, Anyway, Men in Black 3, that's my number 11. So I've reached the top 10. Now, there was one movie on this I didn't get a chance to watch that I didn't include because I didn't know I had it on Apple TV+. That's the movie that Will Smith actually won an Oscar for, Emancipation. I want to kind of watch that movie, but I didn't get a chance to. I didn't know it was on Apple TV+ until way later, but so that's that. In 10th place, I just talked about Men in Black 3. I had a hard time kind of wondering which route I'd go with these, but I did put the original Men in Black in 10th place. On any given day, I could flip-flop these two because I actually really liked Men in Black 3, but premises in Men in Black, Agent J's character, which his name is James, an NYC cop, is hired by Agent K, Tommy Lee Jones' character, of a secret government agency that monitors extraterrestrial life on Earth. Together they must recover an item that has been stolen by an intergalactic villain. I was kind of bored at times watching Men in Black, but it's still good. I remember when I watched this when it first came out, I really liked it when it first came out, and I actually said at one point, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. Not even close. It's not even in my top 100, but it's decent. So Men in Black, the first one, a 3.7 out of 5, is my number 10. Now we're getting to movies that are really, really good, or films that are really, I don't know, movie, film. Sometimes I say movie, sometimes I say film. It seems like more of the smarter people say film a lot, so I try to say film, but sometimes I say movie. But number 9 for me is going to be a first-time watch. Watched it one time, and that is Concussion. It's a 4 out of 5. The premise is, in Pittsburgh, accomplished pathologist Dr. Bennett Omalu uncovers the truth about brain damage in football players who suffer repeated concussions in the course of normal play. It's basically a true story, and it's really good. Now, I did nap a little bit during this movie, but not a lot. It's kind of boring. It's slow, but it's really good, and I like where it goes. So, Concussion, first time watch for me. Glad I bought it. That's my number 9. Coming in 8th place for me is going to be my favorite movie from 2020. We didn't get a lot of movies in 2020. Damn you, COVID. I'm going to make number 8. Bad Boys for Life, which is Bad Boys 3, even though it has a 4 in it. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I didn't have a lot of expectations for Bad Boys for Life. I thought it wasn't going to be very good, and it actually turned out to be pretty good. But the premise is Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett must face off against a mother and son pair of drug lords who wreak vengeful havoc on the city. Pretty good movie. Has an unexpected moment in the movie that I thought was really good, but Bad Boys for Life is pretty good, and I feel like they brought it back, where Bad Boys 2 didn't have the same magic, in my opinion. So Bad Boys for Life, my number 8. In 7th place for me, a movie I'd seen one time before in the theaters and didn't really like it, but really didn't remember a lot about it, and that would be 7 Pounds. Folks, this is a drama. I will say that. It's 4 out of 5, and the premise is Will Smith's character with a fatal secret embarks on an extraordinary journey of redemption by forever changing the lives of 7 strangers. You also have Woody Harrelson, Rosario Dawson, Barry Pepper, Michael Ealy, or Eli, I don't know how you pronounce it, E-A-L-Y. I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce it, but it's a pretty solid movie, and I would recommend watching 7 Pounds if you have an opportunity. Again, it's a drama, that's for sure. In 6th place for me, this is probably the biggest surprise on this ranking, because I had seen the film one time before, and don't remember it being that good. But 6th place for me is going to be Focus. Now, this has Margot Robbie in it as well, and of course Will Smith. It's a 4 out of 5 for me, and the premise is, in the midst of a veteran con man Nicky's latest scheme, a woman from his past, now accomplished femme fatale, shows up and throws his plans for a loop. It's like a cat and mouse sort of movie, and it's really, really good. I really enjoyed it. In fact, I kind of want to rewatch it again. I guess maybe my love for Margot Robbie from Wolf of Wall Street, maybe that's why I like it so much, but Focus was actually pretty good, and I didn't remember it being it good. In fact, I only had remembered one thing about the movie, and that was it. So watching it again, I was pleasantly surprised watching Focus again. Now we've reached the top 5, and again, I just want to reiterate that these movies are ranked from my least favorite to favorite based on what I would rather rewatch, not performance-based. If we did a performance-based movie with Will Smith's performance, we would have a very different ranking for the most part. Number 5 for me is going to be Enemy of the State from 1999. You've got Will Smith, you've got Jon Voight, you've got Gene Hackman. Those are the 3 big people in the movie. But then you've got bigger people that are minor characters, like Jamie Kennedy, Seth Green, Jack Black, Barry Pepper, just a bunch of other random people. Even Jason Lee's in it, and Jake Busey. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. I'd seen this movie many times. The premise is a lawyer becomes targeted by a corrupt politician and his NSA goons when he accidentally receives key evidence to a politically motivated crime. This is a pretty good movie, and this was before the whole Patriot Act thing that the Bush administration put upon us, but it's pretty good. I like it a lot. Some parts are a little bit slow. You even have I forgot his name now. He just died. Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot his name. He's like the mob guy at the end of the movie. Whatever the case may be, he's not even credited, I don't think, in the movie. But Enemy of the State, pretty solid movie. It's like the last Gene Hackman movie, and he's still around. He just doesn't do movies anymore. Now I'm bothered by the fact that I can't remember that guy's name. Anyway, let's move on. Oh, Tom Sizemore. Just thought of his name, and you did not see a cut there. Tom Sizemore's in the movie as well. I don't believe he's credited. Maybe he is. I can't remember. Now we're at the final 4. In the 4th place, which some have it ranked lower when they're talking about this franchise, but I grew up on this movie. I have nostalgia for this movie, so there's no way that I would put it lower than the other ones, at least at the moment, unless they really give me a good movie in this franchise. But number 4 for me is Bad Boys from 1995. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. You have The hip detectives Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett protect a witness, played by Taya Leone. She's a witness to a murder while investigating a case of stolen heroin from evidence storage room from their police precinct. Bad Boys is such a good movie. I love the dialogue in this movie, and some put it lower, like lower than Bad Boys 2, which, I don't know. Apparently, a lot of people think this is the worst movie in the franchise. Maybe because it's directed by Michael Bay. I don't know. Bad Boys was awesome. This was like Michael Bay before he really became Michael Bay, so it's more of a limited but not too much action Michael Bay. I love Bad Boys, except for Taya Leone, but I love the movie. Despite her being in it, it's pretty awesome. So Bad Boys, my number 4. Third place for me, which I had recently did my top 100 favorite movies of all time. I would have to. I've already redid that a little bit, adjusted some movies a little bit in that ranking because I really loved rewatching this movie. I had seen it many times. It's just been like 5 years since I last watched it, maybe 10 years. I don't remember. But my number 3 is going to be Hitch. You have Will Smith, you have Kevin James, you have Eva Mendes in this movie. I gave it 4.75 out of 5. The premise is a smooth-talking man falls for a hardened columnist while accepting a shy accountant who's looking at a beautiful heiress. So Will Smith plays the date doctor, and he hooks these kind of nerdy guys or guys that wouldn't have a chance with a certain female up with these elegant females. He puts them in a position where they can shine, and then the person falls in love with them. I think this movie's hilarious. Kevin James is hilarious, and I love Hitch. Rewatching it, I'm like, wow, I don't remember liking Hitch that much. It really lasts. Like it holds up after 20 plus years almost. Final 2 now. If I did a ranking of Will Smith's best performances, I would have to consider this being number 1. It's number 2 already for just movies that I want to rewatch. But my number 2 is going to be The Pursuit of Happiness. It's Will Smith. You have Jaden Smith in the movie. You get a little bit of Kurt Fuller as well and other people that are kind of names but not big names. But I gave this movie a 5 out of 5. Premise is a struggling salesman takes custody of his son as he's poised to begin a life-changing professional career. Will Smith's character, Chris Gardner, this is based on a true story too, ends up being homeless and he has to care for his son. He's trying to sell these these medical things to get money and trying to work this job where he's like a temp sort of thing, like this broker position, but he doesn't really get that much money. And he doesn't get any money, I don't think, actually. Like, I don't know how it is. I can't remember exactly the premise regarding that. But Pursuit of Happiness is awesome. Will Smith is awesome in this movie. And that would probably be his best performance, in my opinion. But I haven't seen every single movie that he's done, like Emancipation. So that's number 2. And number 1. Well, is it Will Smith's best performance? No, but it's the movie that Will Smith's in that I would rather rewatch the most. In fact, I rewatch this movie every 4th of July. I have for years upon years since it came out. Maybe not every year, but most of the years I rewatch this movie every 4th of July. It's a tradition now. My number 1 is Independence Day. You have a whole slew of people in this movie, and I think Jeff Goldblum probably gives the best performance in the movie. Will Smith doesn't even show up until like 25 minutes in the movie, but he has a memorable role as Captain Stephen Hiller. But I gave Independence Day a 5 out of 5. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I believe it's in the top 10. I think it's number 10. But the premise is the aliens are coming and their goal is to invade and destroy Earth. Fighting superior technology, mankind's best weapon is will to survive. And Independence Day is awesome. You have Bill Pullman, Will Smith, Jeff Goldblum. I'm forgetting people's names now. That happens sometimes. Nonetheless, I don't have to name her. Judd Hirsch is really good. Robert Loggia. Vivica A. Fox. I'm forgetting one There's a Baldwin brother, and I can't remember which Baldwin brother it is. It's not Alec. It's not Stephen. Adam Baldwin, I think. Randy Quaid's in it. Just an awesome movie. If you haven't seen Independence Day yet, you watch it. I mean, is it dated now? I don't even think it's dated. I mean, obviously, it would have been better if it would have been made right now because you could really make some good like CGI effects. But I love Independence Day. and that's why that's my favorite Will Smith movie. So there you have it, all 25 Will Smith movies that I included in this ranking. I hope you enjoyed this. I know it's kind of long-winded here. I got to talk about 25 random Will Smith movies. I've done something like this before for Sylvester Stallone. If you want to see that video, click right here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share the video with a friend. Comment with your ranking in the comment section. And then last but certainly not least, you already heard this, don't forget to hit that sub button, subscribe to the channel, join the team, share your damn support, and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDev TV.